Alright folks, how you doing? From Racing DP here, or as I'm known in Formula Sim Racing, Dave Paling, and you'll spot my name on this car here. And I'm showing a few images of the Origin front row racing car that I'm currently using in Formula Sim Racing. I'm racing in the Pro category, it's the second to bottom tier in that. There's the World Championship Ace and Pro, and that's what I'm competing in. Now, we've just done round 5 at Silverstone. You may have seen the little bit of a teaser video I did, and I have been wanting to do videos of the previous 4 rounds, but I haven't had the time. However, this weekend at Silverstone, I had my best finish, so I decided, you know what, I should spend some time putting a little bit of a video together. So that's exactly what I've done here. I'm going to start off with the qualifying lap at Silverstone, and you know what, I wasn't overly pleased with it, but we'll go and have a look at it anyway. Now, in the practice sessions, I had been managing to get low 33s, 1 minute 33s, but on the day this was a lap time, I think it was a 133.7. I was a little bit frustrated by it. Didn't take as much speed through turn 1 as I wanted, and some of the top drivers, they're taking 8th gear through turn 1 and 2, and every time I tried that, the car just spun. Now, I do know that a few people I know think that these cars are quite easy to drive, and you know what, I can honestly say they really aren't. I mean, I've gone from console racing onto sim racing towards the end of Formula Sim Racing's season last season, and I found it very, very difficult. The little things like you have a lock-up, you get wheel vibrations. You have a major lock-up, you get serious vibrations. You can lose the control of the car under braking, turning, acceleration. It's like nothing I'd ever experienced before. But this qualifying lap, like I say, not my personal best, but on the day it was good enough to get me 8th place. However, I had spent most of my time focusing on race pace for myself, because the difference of fuel level from qualifying to the race is absolutely phenomenal, the effect it has on the car. And also running boost 2, that's high boost, in qualifying makes the car very light and squirmy, so to be able to actually complete a lap can often feel like a success in itself. Kind of cautious through the final couple of corners here, and then trying to be flat out around the final corner. I say not the best of laps, but good enough for 8th place. Going to move on to the formation lap now. In Formula Sim Racing on R-Factor 2, you do have a formation lap to do. And I was having a conversation with Formula Racing NW a few days ago on at the end of the F1 Fridays Cup event, and he was saying that he would like to see formation laps on F1 Codemasters games. And having done these formation laps, I can honestly say they're not nice. I mean, on this particular one, I did feel like I got held up a little later on, you might see it, which made my tyres very, very cold. But in the FSR AMA category, which is like a GP2 series, there have been a few collisions under formation laps, and in Formula Racing that would probably be my biggest concern. But on the formation lap here, I'm wanting to get temperature into the tyres and also show off the top of the helmet there. No cheeky giggling, please. Yeah, trying to get some temperature into the tyres without wearing them. I mean, using on average sort of 4 or 5% tyre wear on a normal lap in these cars, and on a formation lap it'd be very easy to get too much wear while trying to get the temperature. But the car ahead now has kind of dropped off from the cars ahead of him, which is making my tyres a little bit cold, because I'd want to go a little bit quicker at the moment. So now trying to work the brakes and get the temperature into the brakes. And something I struggled with in the first first 2 or 3 rounds of this season in FSR was getting the brakes up to temperature on the formation lap. Basically, start the race, get round turn 1 kind of okay, but as soon as you get to the first really big braking zone, I would lose the car under braking. It happened in Melbourne, heading down to turn 3, and it really caught me off guard at that point. But now that I know what it is, I know I can work on it on the formation laps. So now we're approaching the end of that formation lap, get a bit more temperature into the tyres and wait to the point where we can find our grid slot. Now thankfully on R-Factor 2 there's a nice big red arrow to say park here, which is very useful. There's also one in the pit lane, but you won't see it on this view. So find the pit box, and I tell you what, it is very difficult to see the pit boxes, even the yellow line at the side of the car, which is why you might think I'm out of the pit box, but I'd say I'm just about in it. Okay, get ready now for the start of the race, and in a moment I'm going to switch to a multi-view. Now the starts of the race are not easy. It would be so easy to just spin the car on the spot, but here at Silverstone I actually got probably my best start of my FSR career so far. So revs on, wait for the lights to go out, and then absolutely nail it. We've switched cameras now. Absolutely nail it down to turn 1. Like I say, got a very good start, and actually felt like I could try and gain a few places, but a little bit of a crash next to me opens up an opportunity to at least defend into turn 3. Trying to take it a little bit cautious now, realising there's a car next to me. Okay, give them plenty of room, but they have a little bit of a moment all on their own, so I'll ignore them. But you'll see in the background in a second, they'll be spinning. And all this smoke you can see, this is drivers running Boost 2 and overheating their engines, causing the engine smoke to come out the back of the cars. Now I wasn't running Boost 2 on the opening laps because I felt the car was quick enough as it was. I didn't want to overheat the car, and also because my tyres were cold on the formation lap, if I'd have gone Boost 2, I was fearful of just simply losing the rear. As now we're heading to Cops, and in dirty air in these cars, very easy to run a little bit wide, which I think I may have done just there, but nearly get overtaken by the car behind me now, so defend into Maggots and Beckett's and hold on to the position. I believe position I'm sat in at the moment is 8th place. Yeah, it's still 8th place where I qualified, but confidence beginning to build now as I can see cars just in front of me, so I'm battling it out, and me being able to keep up, having a cheeky little look up the inside. Now race pace around here, the fast guys in this league were looking at sort of 136.2s, 136.3s, and I managed to get my race pace down to that, so I was feeling very, very confident. But as the race went on, I never really hit those lap times. I got 36.5, that was my PB, but a car ahead of me just spun. That's 7th place, thank you very much. I think that'll be his race over. So now I'm feeling even more confident as we start lap 2 of Silverstone. And now I'm thinking about, okay, can we possibly use a little bit of boost? I decide not to, just to see if I'm able to keep up with these guys and not get attacked, as the car ahead has a big wiggle on the exit of the corner. That's another reason why I was thinking perhaps not yet with the boost 2. But yeah, with the race pace, I was happy with what I got in practice, but in this race I didn't quite hit it. But with the overall result, I can't really complain. However, this is about to now get very, very interesting. Sat in 7th place and 4 cars ahead of me are about to get very, very close together. 3 ACR cars and DeWald Neld in the Origin Fluoro Racing red car, which is a very sexy looking car if I'm honest. So through Maggots and Beckett's, and this is where the cars ahead are now about to all bunch up, get very, very close. DRS not available. I'm going to jump on board now, and the in-car view is the view that we have to use when we are racing. We're locked to that view. Does make it very interesting. However, this is the view I had coming around Stowe at the end of lap 2. Follow these cars. Okay, something's going off, and there's a car flying. Right, okay, I'll forget about what I've just seen there, because I think I've just made up 2 more places. So 5th place, I'll take that. I'll be happy with that. But yeah, I mean, situations like that can happen so easily. But I'll tell you what, we're going to have another look at a replay here from off-board. But yeah, I mean, crashes like this can happen so easily. I know in my first race at Singapore last season, I was very confident there in my race pace. We got to turn 4, crash happened ahead of me, nowhere I could go. And thankfully I was able to avoid this one as a car rolls over. I think it was actually a little bit of lag there, which caused that initial collision, but it pretty much destroyed both of those drivers' race. For me though, it put me up into 5th place, and now I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can get something out of this, but we're going to skip to lap 12, because from the end of lap 2 to lap 12, I kind of dropped off from the cars ahead. Was able to pull away from the cars behind, so okay, end of lap 12, time to pit. Let's go for the hard tyres. Get the car slowed down, pit limiter on. It's so easy to speed in the pit lane, and you have to find yourself a brake marker point and use it. If you do speed in the pit lane, you're getting a penalty, usually a drive-through. Okay, now you won't see it on this view, but there is usually a guy stood there with a lollipop saying stop here. So stop, change, put the hard tyres on, drive away, and then realise, hang on a moment, the hard tyres are orange, not white. I've put the wrong bloody tyres on. And that was a major mistake, because I'd adjusted the front wing to improve the prime tyres, basically have a better setup for the primes. And with that wing change on these options, the car was awful to drive. Now I've come out in 7th place, and I managed to hold that position and gain back to 5th, I think it was, and then 4th, and then up to lap 30 we'll go, because it was a very quiet race. Now when I did manage to pit and put the prime tyres on, and at the end of lap 24, I had third place ahead of me, this red car here, but it was about 4 or 5 seconds ahead. So over the course of 6 laps I was able to close that gap, and now I'm feeling really, really good on these prime tyres. The best prime tyre I've ran actually, and it's the hardest compound. So through Cops then I'm thinking, right, where are we going to make an overtake? The car ahead is a back marker. Now through Maggots and Beckett's got a lot of dirty air, so I'm taking it a little bit cautious, but now I take a wide entry into the final part to get a decent run out, boost 2 activated, open up DRS and slipstream. And now we're thinking, okay, we're going to go for it. Now this is going to look like an easy move, but trust me, it's not. Braking on the dirty side of the track. Car wanting to slide, can't steer into the corner early, holds it around the inside, moves up to 3rd place. Now, like I say, it might look like a very simple move, but in these cars, it really, really is not. You go off the racing line that you can clearly see here, and you have very little grip. So, quick little look at the replay here. And there's the late entry into the final part of Maggots and Beckett's, and now, really, it's all about straight line speed here and bravery. And this is a moment that had my heart in my mouth, to be honest. Chuck it up the inside, hard on the brakes, and hope to God the car sticks. Now, while I was driving, it did feel a hell of a lot more sideways than it looked on both those camera views. But after that move, I must admit, I was absolutely buzzing, because that meant I was up to 3rd place. I'm running these prime tyres to the end of the race, and if I could just get to the end, I've got a 3rd place finish. So we're going to jump now to the last lap, because the next sort of 9 laps wasn't much happening. So on to the final lap of the race, and like I say, I ran the prime tyres all the way to the end. And annoyingly, the leader in 2nd place, they did a one-stop strategy here, running option and then the prime tyre. And had I been able to run the prime tyre in the second at the first pit stop, I probably wouldn't have been able to get the prime tyre all the way to the end of the race, but maybe I could have been considerably closer to them, because I would have been running the option tyre at the end with a front wing setting that I really wanted. I mean, to put it into perspective, I think my prime tyre run here, the early stages of it, I was going faster than I was on that second set of options. But once I got into 3rd place, for me, there was no point trying to catch the leaders. I could quite easily have spun the car, crashed the car, because it was so easy to do that in these, that I figured, you know what, there was absolutely no point trying to hunt them down. I've got a bit of a gap to the cars behind, I'll manage that gap. And now it did mean that I was putting in fairly slow lap times, but it was actually, although this looks quite simple, it was actually quite nerve-wracking, knowing that there's a potential of a podium here. Now obviously, I apologise, there hasn't been loads and loads of action in this race, but unfortunately quite a few drivers didn't finish the race, and had they, there probably would have been a lot more cars around me or ahead of me, to be honest. But there we go. So coming around the last couple of corners for the final time, and I'm absolutely buzzing at this point. I'm still thinking, do not spin it on the final corner. So crossing the line then to take 3rd place, absolutely delighted with that one. And I just hope that I can improve my lap times. I think I finished about 40 seconds off the leader, and now on to a bit of an in-lap here. But yeah, I finished about 40 seconds off the leader. Now admittedly, from lap 30 to 39, I think I was a good second off potential pace, a second half off potential pace. So there's a bit of time there. But also throughout the first sort of 30 laps of the race, or 26 laps of the race I should say, I was, for most of it, about a second off my pace. So there could have been another 26 seconds there. Would I have been able to battle for the lead? I doubt it. The guy that won, Christopher Raby, very, very quick. and has put in a lot more practice than I have, and unfortunately I am limited on time to get practice in. So for me, absolutely delighted with a third place finish at Silverstone. Now at this point I'm going to mention the helmet. I've changed the helmet design a few times this season. My first helmet design was okay, but then I had a bit of an incident at Silverstone at the end of a qualifying lap where I kind of flipped and rolled the car, and I sent someone a screenshot of it, and they said, oh, it looks like there's a bit of a tornado there. You should have that on your helmet. So I found a cool tornado picture, and put it on the top of my helmet. Admittedly, it does look like it's beating up a city, but I like it anyway. Although the rest of the design of the helmet, I changed that, and I must admit I think I prefer my original sort of design for the rest of the helmet. So if possible, I might have to change back to that. But this is the end of the end lap, so gonna get ready to park it in the pits, and as I said, absolutely delighted with third place. So I've been Front Row Racing DP, or otherwise known as Dave Paling, and hopefully I'll be able to do you some more FSR videos.